Hey, I'm back today with a mini series within this series on premenopause, also known as perimenopause. Today we're going to talk about the emotional aspects and costs of premenopause when your emotions go out of whack because your hormones are out of whack. In my last video, I explained all of the different symptoms that happen with premenopause, and the video before that I explained why that usually at the beginning of premenopause, which can be as early as your late 30s and early 40s, that your levels of progesterone really take a dip, and as a result you experience estrogen dominance, which is the big theme of my channel, and I have lots of videos on estrogen dominance. But the kind of estrogen dominance that we experience in premenopause is a particular kind, and so I want to talk today about the emotional aspects and the solutions to some of the emotions that we experience in premenopause. And it's not just this video that we'll talk about that, but the next two also will talk about that, because there are three aspects to solving the problem of emotional dysregulation within premenopause. And I want to give each one of them its due time. So forgive me for being a little bit indulgent with each of these videos. There are very intricate solutions that we need to try. And this first one is actually the simplest, and so this one is not quite as scientifically dense as the next two will be. So we'll start with something a little easy, and that is the concept of calm. As modern Westerners, we do not practice calm very effectively, and that is why our emotions and our hormones get so out of whack. And we have a really great natural system built within us to regulate our hormones, but because of the stress and the busyness of our lives, we tend to override that system, and that's why some of our hormones pay the price and go a little bit haywire at this age. And so the very first approach, the most natural, safe, and, well, not easy by any means, but important approach to take when you're looking at solving the problem of emotional dysregulation within premenopause or hormone imbalance is that practice of calm. And there are many ways to practice calm. Myself, I identified that I was very busy all day long and into the evening, and I was getting kind of a rush out of being busy. And I got my self-importance and my self-worth and my self-identity out of being busy, and I needed to rewire that programming and rewire my identity and my beliefs about myself. I believed that being productive was the best possible way to live, and the more productivity, the better. And that's really what cost me a lot of health issues in my late 30s and early 40s. And so I really reworked that programming in me and started to believe something different. I started to believe that my health was important and my rest was important, and that my hormones were not going to get back in balance until I slowed down and stopped being so productive. Now for you, it might be a whole different kind of scenario. You might just be addicted to cardio and caffeine, which is probably more normative than my situation, where I was addicted to productivity. Whatever it is, we need to slow down the stressful ways that we lead our lives and the stressful ways that we influence our cortisol levels most of all. Cortisol is a key hormone that I mentioned in my last videos, just the one that really sets all the others off balance. And cortisol has to do with rest and the amount of rest that we get and the quality of sleep that we get. And our cortisol rhythms are so essential. And it does interplay a little bit with melatonin. So if you think about when it gets dark outside and our bodies need to kind of slow down, that is a natural rhythm that you can identify and allow your body to respond to. Now, if you're not like me, where the evening busyness was the issue, but your morning busyness and lack of energy is the issue, then the solution is probably doing less exercise. I know that's difficult because exercise is also built into our identity and sense of self-worth and our body image as well. And a lot of us will fear that our body will get flabby or ugly if we stop doing cardio in the morning. But a lot of times women who do excessive cardio in the morning and then have an energy dip, that is a sign that your body is too depleted. And a lot of times we respond to that energy dip by filling it with caffeine, which is a drug that gets you by for the rest of the day and makes you feel energized when your body is still depleted. So while coffee and caffeine can be healthy additions to your diet, depending on whether you metabolize it well, if you're using it as a drug to stimulate you and give you energy to get you through the day, that is a huge sign that your hormones are paying the cost. And I would urge you to make changes in that department. Lower your cardio, make it a couple days a week on the more restful days, maybe on the weekend rather than on a work day. And when you crash, after doing something that is excessively energetic, don't address that crash with caffeine. Allow your body to respond to that naturally, and certainly not with sugar either, but to respond with healthy diet like fat, protein, vegetables, the healthy elements that you can add in. Now, these are difficult ways to adjust our lives for sure. They are huge sacrifices and really involve a lot of mental acuity and focus, and really rewiring some of our beliefs about ourselves and our lifestyles. Another really huge element to rest is building in a practice of meditation or prayer. Now, a lot of us are averse to one or the other of these. Some of us will be more drawn to meditation. Some of us will be more drawn to prayer, depending on our background. And they're very, very similar, really, in their effect, in their practice, especially if you're talking about centering prayer. Centering prayer is almost exactly like meditation. It's just focusing on a creator God figure rather than focusing on just your thoughts. So if you don't know about centering prayer, I have a video about that, and I'll point you to that here, talking about my own journey, identifying the difference between meditation and centering prayer and imagery and guided imagery. And just what I found being a Christian who was very averse to meditation, what I found as my own solution to that mixture. But whether you want the prayer or the meditation, it is really, really essential that you learn to build that into your life if you're struggling with this lack of rest and cortisol management in your body. Now, you may not know whether you're struggling with this, and the only way to tell, you probably know intuitively just by the things that I'm saying right now and identifying with what I'm saying or not, but the only way to tell really is to try to slow down and try to get more rest and more meditative or prayerful moments in your life. And you will start to see a little bit more emotional regulation as a result of the hormone regulation, as a result of slowing down in many, many cases. Some people will need other supplementation or possibly even hormone supplementation to get to full actuation of hormone stability. And I'll talk about those two things in my next two videos. But this is where I want you to start. A week from now, I'll have another video out that will talk about supplementation. But until then, I want you to take 7 days to slow down and try to chart out your slowing down. Take baby steps. The first day, just cut your cardio maybe in half, or do a 3/4 version of your usual workout, and don't do as much coffee. Take it down to 3/4 or half the amount of coffee, and then the next day, take the next steps that you're ready to take. Think of something in your life that really slows you down and makes you contemplative. There might be a symbol, there might be a book or a prayer or an image, maybe even a movie or a song. Or for me, it's a cup of tea. Think about what brings you down to your real center and calms you. And if you're so frenetic that you cannot sit with calm and silence, then that is a real warning sign that you probably are experiencing extreme hormone flux and emotional dysregulation. And I'm so glad that you're watching this video if that's the case. Now, it probably will also depend on what time of the month it is, so it may not have immediate effects, but building these practices in is going to have some good effects regardless. You may need additional supplementation, and you may need other added practices, but this is where we start. This is kind of the baseline and the practice that will last you the rest of your life, that will make your hormones so much more manageable long term in a very, very natural way without any kind of additive or supplementary practice. So I really want to urge you to try this one out. I know it may be the hardest. Supplements are easier because they're a quick fix. But this one is highly, highly effective and will have added benefits in the rest of your life as well. It will definitely improve your communication, your relationships, your sense of focus, your sense of centeredness and presence when you're having conversations, your ability to listen even. It has tremendous effects and health effects galore. So please try this one. Tell me how it goes. Tell me where your challenges lie, and I'll hope to make more videos in response to some of the challenges that come up for you. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Please tune in next week when we're talking about management of your GABA and whether you have GABA at all in your system and how that can have effects on your emotions, especially at these times of flux in your hormones during premenopause or perimenopause. And I'll see you then. Bye-bye.